This is KGW News at Sunrise.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Thanks so much for being here on this Sunday, dark and early. I am Galen Etlin. This morning here on Sunrise, Thorns fans are rallying in support of the team's players. Their call to action after sexual misconduct allegations in the league. Plus, former Vice President Mike Pence visits Oregon. What he had to say to people in Washington County. And downtown Portland is the place to be for runners this morning. The Portland Marathon is back on this year, and it's happening all across the city. The full marathon and half marathons both start at 7:10 this morning. And to check out streets, bridges, and others are closed for most of the morning. You can head over to KGW.com. And of course, the question is, what's it going to be like for all those runners out there? Let's check in with Chris McGinnis for our forecast. It's kind of chilly right now, but that's maybe a good thing.
Well, that is exactly right. For marathoners, distance runners, cool temperatures are key to good race conditions, right? And that's what we've got. So they've got a perfect morning for a marathon here in Portland. Right now, dark and early, as Galen mentioned, we're still a good 70 minutes or so away from sunrise, but we will see plenty of sunshine today. It's 48 last check at PDX. It's 41 in Hillsborough. It's 40 in King City. And these readings are likely to slip another degree or two before sunup this morning. So a very comfortable morning to be out running for sure. We hop over the mountains. We're down near the freezing mark right now in Baker City and Burns Bend right now, checking in with 46 degrees. Satellite radar loop showing a little bit of cloud cover and even some sprinkles right now hitting the North Oregon coast. Those will not make it inland. They will fall apart as they cross the coast range. So no rain in our forecast. And in fact, a really, really nice Sunday on tap for the Rose City. Mid-60s by lunchtime. We'll top out at about 72 this afternoon. Galen?
All right, good to know, Chris. We'll see you soon. Now, with games canceled, Portland Thorns fans could not be in the stands this weekend, so instead they rallied in support of the players. Now, this all came after those claims of sexual coercion we told you about, stretching back about a decade by a former Thorns coach. U.S. Soccer suspended Paul Riley's coaching license after abuse accusations by two former players were published in The Atlantic. He was then fired by the North Carolina Courage. Riley told The Athletic those allegations against him are untrue. Some of the accusations were during Riley's time in Portland. Some of the Thorns' biggest supporters, the Rose City Riveters, are now calling for action.
And our club didn't protect them, didn't really give them the support I think any of us supporters would have expected them to have gotten. We saw some really damaging information in that article about, what Gavin Wilkinson has said to players, reactions or non-reactions from Merritt Paulson, the owner of the club. And it really just is a call to action for our community to say, this isn't who we want to be.
The National Women's Soccer League canceled all matches this weekend after encouragement from the players' union, and the league's commissioner also resigned. Portland is adding its voice to some national protests this weekend. People joined tens of thousands of others across the country for the Women's March. This also comes after the most restrictive abortion law in the country got passed in Texas, and before the Supreme Court takes up another case that will directly challenge Roe v. Wade. Women's March organized yesterday's events from New York to San Francisco. Many worry that a conservative majority on the High Court will also favor a Mississippi law that bans abortions after 15 weeks. While some may see this issue as political, for some women, it's a direct attack on rights.
Because this isn't about men. This is about women, and it's about men trying to control us.
Now, the head of the group March for Life challenged the Women's March, saying, quote, "What about equal rights for unborn women?" Former Vice President Mike Pence is coming off a visit to Washington County in Oregon. He met with law enforcement and joined the Reagan Day dinner. The former vice president made his first public appearance in the state since he and former President Trump lost the 2020 election. This also comes as rumors are growing he could be getting ready for a 2024 presidential run. The former vice president discussed a Republican comeback in future elections, the legacy of Ronald Reagan, and Americans' response to the pandemic.
I'll always be proud of how the American people responded to the coronavirus pandemic. My heart grieves for the loss of so many of our countrymen. And if there's someone within the sound of my voice or looking on who lost a loved one, know that you've always been in our hearts and in our prayers.
Now, Pence spoke a lot about accomplishments of the Trump administration as well and faults of the Biden administration.
All we ask is please slow down. How many lives do we have to end up getting hurt or losing in order for people to understand?
It's an important message there from a tow truck driver named Dan Carroll. He is pleading with drivers to be careful out there after a second Washington tow operator was killed on the job this year. KGW's Christelle Kumwe reports.
Dan Carroll has had a lot of close calls working on the side of the road.
And if I would have stepped 1 foot back, the semi-truck would have took me out.
He's a tow truck driver with Chappelle's Towing in Vancouver.
Never been hit, thankfully. I've had to jump out of the main source of traffic quickly.
Dan is not alone. AAA Washington reports these kind of accidents are becoming increasingly common.
We're not really sure what's been happening in Southwest Washington.
Kelly Just with the agency says since December, 4 different tow truck drivers have been struck.
One of them was injured slightly. One had to have his leg amputated, and 2 were killed.
Raymond Mitchell with TLC Towing was struck and killed last month while helping a customer on I-5 near Kalama. His towing family put up a memorial for him. In April, the owner of Affordable Towing, Art Anderson, and the parents of the driver he was helping were struck and killed near Kelso, also along I-5. A procession was held in his honor.
These crashes are all preventable.
That's why AAA Washington teamed up with tow companies for a PSA with this message.
Follow the law, slow down, move over.
The move over law requires motorists to move over 1 lane or slow down when approaching any motor vehicle that is stopped for an emergency.
People may not be aware that a tow truck provider working at the side of the road is considered an emergency vehicle, and they need just as much room as emergency responders like police, fire, and road construction.
You see that? As someone who's encountered too many close calls in his career, Dan hopes drivers take this message to heart.
All we do is out there is just at least get you guys home off the road. Hearing about some of us can't make it home to our loved ones, it's sad.
Christelle Kumwe, KGW News.
All right, well, we have talked about the bus driver shortage nationwide that's affecting school districts locally, and staffing issues do not stop there. KGW's Christine Pedowanich shares how a lack of substitute teachers is also impacting Salem-Keizer Public Schools.
Even before COVID-19, there was a shortage of substitute teachers, but now the pandemic has exacerbated the issue. At Salem-Keizer Public Schools, licensed administrative staff are finding themselves stepping into the classroom when teachers are absent for any number of reasons.
I definitely see that there's an increase in absences.
Brian Turner is the director of recruitment staffing for the district, and he has a license to teach.
Last Friday, I was in a classroom substitute teaching.
Turner can't speak to each teacher absence, but says the pandemic plays a role.
It can be stressful and a warranted mental health day. If you're coughing and you have the sniffles, maybe at one time you would go into the school, but now we're very cautious and people are staying home when they have those symptoms.
But he says the main hurdle is the pool of substitute teachers continuing to get smaller. Turner says across the country, fewer people are enrolling in education programs, and now COVID is affecting the number of retirees who may normally choose to be a substitute.
And I think the pandemic has created a level of anxiety for folks. We have lots of retirees, and the percentage that are coming back to sub is lower than it has been.
Turner says before the pandemic, there were instances where licensed office staff had to step into substitute roles, but now more are having to do it. He says the district is open to getting help from the community.
We need you. We need you in the classroom. If you want to be a classified or a support person and you want to sub, we have room for you.
Turner says people can get what's called a restricted substitute license. You have to have a bachelor's degree. There's training involved, and the district helps with the process. He says substitutes with the license can make $30 an hour. There are also support positions available for those who don't have a bachelor's degree. Christine Pedowanich, KGW News.
For the first time in more than 2 years, the Rose Quarter is busy this weekend. Both the Blazers and Winterhawks were in action. We're going to take you through a fun day for fans in Rip City.